Hey everyone, today is Thursday, the 13th of May, 2021. This is The Gap, episode 565. I'm Luke Lawrie. Joab Gilroy's here. Guess what, Joab? I left the house this week. I went out.
You left your house?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
It's getting all crazy over here. People be leaving houses and all sorts of things. I went to the basketball on the weekend, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
They're doing...
Which game did you go to?
It was OKC versus Golden State, and when my wife bought the tickets, I was like, "Oh, this should be interesting," because like OKC is basically in like tank mode at the moment. They're not interested in playing basketball. And anyway, it was a really good game because it was pretty close, like the first maybe half, and then it went stupid. It just went dumb. They ended up breaking the franchise record for the most 3-pointers made in a game. Steph got like 11 or something like that. He didn't break the his record. I think his record is like 13, but it was still entertaining. They just went off, and it was fun to watch.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was good. It's very COVID safe, not like huge amounts of I don't know what the capacity numbers are, but I think it's like 25% or somewhere around between 20 and 25%, because there's still, generally when we look, there's like tickets available still ranging from like 90, 85 US to like what I think I looked at a Mavs game and the sideline tickets were about $800, which is pretty good considering what they normally are. Like for games like that, like thousands of dollars. So at least they're not like gouging the like prices and that sort of thing, which is kind of what I expected.
Capacity. Yeah, I'm surprised that they're not.
Yeah,
right.
Because the tickets we've been buying are pretty much the same prices that we were paying over a year and a half ago. So yeah, it's been good seeing that. And then they had like basically two sort of entrances where people that have been vaccinated, you kind of just show your proof and go on in. And the other half is people that I guess haven't been vaccinated but need to take a COVID test and need to take a negative COVID test to get in. So it's very like I don't know if you remember this, but I think I spoke about it maybe like it was last year sometime when I was filling out like Warriors surveys to be like, hey, when do you think it'll be COVID safe? And when they actually had like, oh, we'll send out like test kits, I was like, that's never gonna happen. That seems like too fucking like too much. But yeah, that's what they're doing. They're like testing people for COVID, which is pretty good. So at this stage, we're thinking about like what's next. We look at baseball tickets the other day.
Why
go get drunk at the baseball?
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Like this is like when you're not allowed to like eat. You can't eat bacon, right? Like my wife is intolerant of bacon. She's not allergic, but it makes her unwell. Like pork in general. And so anytime she goes away and I'm looking after myself, all I eat is like it's just bacon, everything. It's bacon for breakfast. Like some sort of ham and bacon for lunch, and then like I'll make the ultimate BLT for lunch, and just go fucking ham, like go way overboard.
Yeah.
Trying to get it all in. You're like, oh yeah, fuck yeah. Oh yeah, fucking bacon ice cream. Now's the time. And you're like, it's actually terrible. But I'm doing it. That's baseball.
Yeah.
Baseball's bacon ice cream, is what I'm saying. Why would you do it to yourself? You wouldn't even have John Boy in your ear explaining what's going on.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, the dude's hitting the ball. Things are happening.
Not
apparently the San Francisco team is pretty good as well at this stage. So
oh my god.
Why not?
You love San Francisco teams. You sellout. At
Yeah,
least I stay loyal to whatever team LeBron is on. You're not even fucking. You've switched sides. You bandwagon to the Warriors at the worst possible
bandwagon
time
of
because the
Warriors.
Lakers. Yeah, you have. You constantly every other fucking week you're wearing a fucking Warriors shirt.
Yeah, because
Like,
that's what I've got. It's the thing that's on the top. um, so yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of interested because they're playing this playing tournament will be. I think it's next week.
yeah,
So there is a chance that the Warriors get in to the playoffs, but
yeah.
yeah, I think they're gonna be a scary team next year for sure. They're playing really well. Like
Oh,
when
yeah,
Clay gets back, and then they've got Draymond, uh, Wiggins, Steph, and Clay playing,
yeah,
and
yeah,
their center who's currently out as well. That team's gonna be scary. So
yeah. They're already like capable, pretty
mm,
capable. I wouldn't say they'd win. I wouldn't like bet on them to win at all. But
yeah,
if they make it in through the play-ins, I wouldn't bet against them.
no,
Like against most teams.
they're like
Uh,
the two teams no one wants to play. The Warriors and the Lakers. They're like,
yeah,
I'm good. No, thank
yeah,
you.
and the Knicks.
Uh,
Can't believe the
we,
Knicks had.
we beat them last night.
Uh, I know we did, but still, like shit. I was like, oh no, we're gonna lose because Nate's girlfriend and Nate by proxy, huge Knicks fans, and
Why?
I know I've spent the last 5 years giving them so much shit, and it would have been unbearable if the Knicks had won. So yeah, I was nervous, like nervous energy for that game. But anyway,
Hmm.
I would have written it off. LeBron's still out, so it doesn't count. None
Yeah.
of it counts until LeBron's back.
Yeah, they're out
Um,
tonight as well. They
yeah, he's
announced
out again.
they're
Yeah,
both out. I think they think they can win tonight's game without anyone. So because it's like
right.
8 people are injured this stage. Let's get
Yeah,
one of the ball kids in. Hey, you know how to handle a ball. You're our point guard now. All right, fair enough. Well, Jason Kidd, he can probably play still, right?
yeah.
He's our new point guard. Suit up. Uh,
Anyway,
yeah. Um, I have movie tickets as well for this weekend, so it'll be
oh yeah,
exciting. My first movie for since February, I think, last year. Um, and I'm keen because the last film I saw was Portrait of a Lady. It just left a bad
what
taste in my mouth because
what is Portrait of a Lady?
don't worry about it. I didn't like it.
Uh,
I thought it was terrible. It's
yeah, but
like one of these
you
arty.
did like Mother, so
Yeah, no, that at least had a story. This is just a
no, it
art
didn't.
house lesbian romance film, and I don't know. Job just didn't click with me. I don't know. I don't know why.
A 29 French historical romantic drama film.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's probably not up my alley.
Yeah, well, it wasn't
Probably
on
not
mine either.
my jam.
So we're gonna go see the new Saw spin-off film to sort of
Ah,
cleanse our palate from this long year and a half break because we'd go like we were at the cinema at least a couple times a month we'd go, sometimes like 2 times a week depending on what was out, how busy it was. So
yeah.
having to not endure that has been quite frustrating. And it looks like over here at least, like the AMC is open. Alamo is still
Right.
closed at this point. I think they're coming back in July or something like that.
I thought they went under.
Um, yeah, I think they've sort of been bailed out
Oh,
or
okay.
something because they are reopening. So we'll see what
Cool.
happens with that.
I want to go see Those Who Wish Me Dead. Because that was on
Yeah,
my radar even before. But Nate went to a preview screening. He reckons it's fucking rad.
yeah, cool.
So I want to see that. I'd like to see Wrath of Man, but I cannot see myself risking
What's
a
Wrath of
cinema
Man?
trip.
It sounds like a new Denzel Washington film.
You fucking wish. That'd be like, I imagine that would be like a sequel to Man on Fire or some shit. That'd be
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
amazing. Do that.
The
Fuck yeah.
Equalizer.
This is Jason Statham,
Oh yeah,
Guy Ritchie film, but uh it doesn't look very good.
Yeah, I mean, it's Jason Statham, so it's him just shooting and punching things, right?
And it's Guy Ritchie, so at least he'll have a couple of good one-liners.
Lines,
But yeah.
Hmm.
And yeah, I'd like to see Spiral, but I haven't watched a Saw movie in I don't fucking know how long. So I'm worried that I won't have the backstory.
I don't think you need it. I got a feeling this is because, like I said recently, we rewatched the films, and I think
Yeah.
it got to the point where it's like, how do we like? I think this is a reboot. I haven't seen the trailers or anything, but I'm going to assume it's a reboot because they just went too far with it, especially because they've got Chris Rock and Sam Jackson on, right? Like, you can't continue that stupid story that they had in the last one where, like, hey, he's dead. Oh no, we're just kidding. He never had cancer for those 6 films that we made before that. He showed up in like the last one or something. I don't know. It was fucking weird. Like, he faked his own death and all this sort of stuff. And
He
like,
never
what?
had cancer.
I don't know.
That was the entire fuck.
Yeah, no, yeah, that was no. I'm right. That was the plot. Like, he never had cancer. They accidentally switched the results or something, and so he pretended he had cancer for like 3 films, and then he didn't actually die, and that, you know, he wasn't gone for 2 more of those films. And anyway, that got really dumb, and so I think this is going to be some sort of soft reboot with. I'm going to assume it ties into it somehow, but I don't think it's a continuation of that story. So you probably don't. Anyway, I'll go see it. I'll let you know what the deal is.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah. Anyway, I actually, something we didn't write down, and I think it's maybe relevant. Mythic Quest is back on TV.
Yep.
Which is an Apple TV series, which
Co-production
premiered
with Ubisoft. Sorry, Ubisoft.
Yeah.
As we learned this week, it is definitively Ubisoft.
Didn't they put out a video like 2 years ago saying it doesn't matter how you say it?
But they did. They've got their, you know, an Ubisoft game or an Ubisoft original. That's it. An Ubisoft original, right? And it cannot be an Ubisoft anything.
Ubisoft.
It can't be an Ubisoft. It would be a Ubisoft.
Yeah.
So that's it. End of fucking discussion.
Yeah.
It's solved. If only there was some rule for GIF/GIF, but instead we just have to enforce that one through violence.
Yeah.
That's the only option. Is if anyone says GIF, you beat them. You have to beat them. Because that's the only, like, we have to basically end the genetic line or the genetic line of anyone who's saying GIF. Yeah. Anyway, Mythic Quest is back. Yes, I have not caught up yet, but
it's
I did catch up to the extra episode they did.
Quarantine episode.
No, the one after that.
Was there one after that?
Yeah, there was 11 episodes in the first season.
Okay.
So they did 9 in the contained season, and they did the quarantine episode, which is number 10. And then they did an 11th episode as a sort of bridging effort between season 1 and 2. So if you haven't seen it, you should definitely watch it because it's pretty fucking. It's a good episode.
Yeah, I'm just looking now. Written by Ashley Butch.
Yep.
Okay.
And
cool.
and with a surprise guest star.
Okay.
Or at least surprise guest star narration. It's pretty fucking cool. And yeah, it's just there's. I want that show to have as much Danny Pudi as humanly possible. He is such an amazing foil, but I think maybe like his existence feels too cynical to the writers. That's how I feel they use him very sparingly because it feels very cynical when he shows up. But in my experience, no, he's basically it. He should be, he's probably the boss. He's essentially Andrew Wilson, so you know he should probably be everything at there.
He's not the boss though?
No, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He should be the boss
Ah,
because that's how the
that's how
fucking
he plays it.
industry works.
Okay.
Well, that's how the industry works. Is those guys wind up being the boss, not the Irons or Poppies who have an artistic or creative vision, but the director of monetization who
Sure.
has a brilliant plan to fuck
Everyone.
every soccer game for the rest of eternity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway,
So,
anyway.
yeah, so it's back. For anyone who doesn't know, we talked about this last year. It's a
Mm,
Mythic Quest is a new series developed by the creators of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So Charlie Day, Rob McElhenney is sort of like producing and writing and starring in it. At least Rob is. Charlie Day isn't, but they're working behind the scenes.
yeah.
This is one of the shows that they showed off at E3 one year, and it didn't look good. It was
It
kind of
does look
weird, and then it
yeah.
came out, and I really liked it. I think it had one of the best episodes of TV that I watched last year, which was off the top of my head I can't remember, but it was basically just like a backstory of the creation of the
Yeah.
studio.
Episode 5,
Yeah,
season 1. Yeah.
and it had like
Weird.
nothing to do with the sort of continuing storyline that was in that series. It just was like they just dropped it in the middle, and it had a completely different tone. I thought it was fantastic. Um,
And
and so
now when you watch it, you can see parts of that episode are seeded throughout the other episodes,
yeah,
like references to it, which is pretty cool
yeah.
because it happens chronologically like 20 years before the events of the rest of the show.
Hmm.
But anyway, yeah.
So yeah, I enjoyed. It grew on me that series. I thought it was well done.
Yep.
So and then they did the quarantine episode last year, which is like a um, Zoom meeting where they just kind of film something and during the pandemic, and then obviously this other episode that I've not seen yet, but I'll have to go and watch it. But since then, they've now released season 2 has 2 new episodes out, um,
I'll have
which
3 by the
is
time you hear this.
probably, yeah, by the time you hear this, third one will be up, which is focusing on the first season was called Mythic Quest King's Banquet? Raven's Banquet, and which was a uh, you know part of this game they're working on called Mythic Quest, and this new season is about like, all right, we've just released Raven's Banquet, and the success of it was really well done. Like, how do we follow that up? Like, what is the new expansion? By the way, this is about video games. This series, it's like set in a development studio. It's basically Ubisoft or Ubisoft, and yeah, and like talking to all these weird characters that are sort of in the industry, the creatives and artists, programmers, head of monetization, like that sort of stuff, and things that go around it. Just like this season seems like they've really got a bump in money, I guess maybe
Oh
is the
yeah.
word, because like
Yeah.
it just looks like you look at the like them walking around and you're like, oh yeah, that kind of looks like a fucking, because I've been to a bunch of game dev studios, and it's like that kind of
Yeah.
looks like a game dev studio, just like the way it's sort of presented. Um, and you see like bits of pieces of art on the walls and little figurines, and sometimes little hints of like Ezio will be on someone's desk or something like that. They've just done a really good job of making the office a bit more of a character, I think, because I don't think I had that feeling the first season. It just kind of it just seems like they've been given a lot more money this time around.
Yeah.
But in terms of the first 2 episodes, I think it's maybe a bit slow at this stage. Well, there's some really good moments in there, but it didn't really grab me as much as what I'd hoped. So hopefully they get there. Obviously, like they've made this during a fucking pandemic, and that is
Yeah.
something that is hard to deal with. And you can kind of see moments in it where it's like people keeping their distances and things like that, and they're obviously working with less, like trying to have less people around and that sort of thing. So yeah. Anyway, I'm keen to watch more of it as they keep rolling them out, but If you've not seen it, I think it's worth giving it a shot at least.
Maybe if you haven't seen it, right? Wait, what would it be like? A month and a half? Yeah, about a month and a half, 2 months, right? And then get a 1 month of Apple TV,
Mm.
and watch all of it all at once, because there is not enough on Apple TV to warrant a recurring subscription under any circumstances. So, yeah, that'd be the way to do it, in my opinion. Yeah. Anyway,
there you go.
Hmm.
Mythic Quest. All right, let's go talk about some games, Joab.
Let's do it.
NHL 21. You still playing this?
I am. Yeah, I've been sort of just I don't know, killing time with it, I guess. Playing the beer pro mode. It's weird, hey. I don't think it's very good. But it is still a hockey game or a sports game, and there's something about I don't know. I go through phases where I just want to play a fucking sports game, right? And something about FIFA like sours in my mouth. The concept, how fucking fucked it is by foot. I still I feel like NBA is the same. I don't like baseball, so I can't like as try as I might. I can't get into MLB. And I do like ice hockey, and clearly, the foot version of NHL never really took off enough for them to put money into it, so they just sort of haven't bothered. But what has resulted is they haven't really bothered with a lot in NHL 21.
You feel like they're putting them out to fulfill the NHL license so they can.
That's exactly it.
Like
but
what
it's not.
EA
It's not
was doing
like
with NBA.
yeah, it's not NBA Live bad under any circumstances, because I think they have a better core base, right, to build off. They've been making good NHL games for ages. This one sort of just like I'm playing, on the Xbox Series X. It just sort of feels like it's got a slapdash coat of paint, but otherwise feels very similar to, like I think the last one I played was 19. And like I don't think they have to change dramatically every single time, but then once it resolves, the idea resolves that it hasn't really grown that much, the existence of its faults, sort of those faults stand out a lot more, and there's a lot of shit in there that happens that isn't great, just isn't very good. And yeah, you just wind up sitting there when you're like, oh yeah, they haven't really done much. The least they could have done is fix this or that, or fucking the commentary will repeat the same. Like I've heard them say so many of the lines, but the first time I noticed it was the second game where they were already repeating some of the same lines, and you're like, you haven't even like blacklisted certain topics or something. Like they will talk about multiple times in one game. They'll talk about, oh well, in their Canadian voices. I'm not going to try and do it, but this is what I like about NHL. By the way, they can say my last name, which no other game I've ever seen has done. They'll be like, oh, Gilroy's back in the penalty box. You'd think he'd want to stay out of it. And then, like, 3 beats later, they'll be like, oh, and Gilroy's got more penalty minutes. You've got to imagine his coaches wanting to stop going to the box. And then, like, literally seconds later, they'll go, oh, and Gilroy's got to watch those penalty minutes. His coaches can't be happy about him going into the box. I'm like, so they recorded multiple versions of the same that one phrase, but they didn't fucking have something in the game to restrict it from using that line, all those lines in one fucking go. Like, what the fuck is going on there? Like, that's ridiculous. And I know it's not a huge thing, but like, yeah, contrasted with the idea that the game has done fucking nothing for years, it looks really bad. And then you've got like the amount of times I'll be like skating around, and I'll go in I'll be on a breakaway, and I will crash into the goalie. And they've done something. I think they changed. I'm pretty sure in 2019, you would just you'd bulldoze the goalie and the net and fucking everything and just take everyone out. But they changed it. So now, instead of like just killing a man because you're skating at 200 kilometers an hour directly into him, and forcing him into a fucking net and then a wall, you sort of just like pass through him. But what happens then is like something about the momentum gets fucked up when that happens. And so multiple times, like about once a game, I will get trapped behind the goalie, but in front of the net. So the opposing team's goalie, and I'll be stuck in like between these two things, unable to move, while my team is like, I've blocked goals standing there, like just because I can't fucking move, I can't get out. And the one time that the puck actually managed to make it around me, immediately penalized for goalie interference. Oh no, it was waved off for goalie interference. I'm like, but I couldn't fucking get out of there. Like, that's so idiotic. How the fuck does that work? Ridiculous. Yeah, which is pretty annoying. And also the AI isn't nearly smart enough. I'm playing on, I think, Superstar difficulty. And when I play on, you got it, like the way the Beer Pro mode works, they haven't really they haven't ever really thought any of this shit through. But like, you earn XP for doing things on the ice, which is, I think, a really good method, right? So when you check someone, you'll get like body checking XP, right? And it might be like 40 points. But if you absolutely lay some cunt out, you'll get 80 points. And it might trigger a fight. That's the risk you take, right? It might trigger a fight depending on who you fuck up. But then if you win the fight, you'll get XP for that as well. Except you can lose XP. And so if you lose the subsequent fight, you lose a bunch of XP. And there's no transparency on how any of that works. But worse still is you can't earn, like, you only earn that XP for those things. I can't see how you earn XP for less tangible concepts. Like, you don't earn, there's no way to earn skating XP. So you can't build your fucking speed or balance without like specifically training it, which is just fucking dumb as shit. And you can't build your your shot meter. You can't build your ability to shoot without just fucking whiffing constantly. Like, I've got two choices, right? If I want to win a game, I'll pass it to, I'm on the New York Rangers, so I'll just pass it to Panarin, who will out-deke fucking anyone and put it in the back of the net. And I'll get an assist for it, and I'll get points for that, which is fantastic. But if I actually ever want to be able to shoot myself, I have to see Panarin is wide open for a one-timer, which he will definitely get. I have to see that and just be like, nah, man, and just fucking rocket it. And it doesn't matter if it goes on the goal or not. I get XP for hitting the fucking puck at the net. But I cost my team a very obvious fucking goal but that's the only way I can ever fucking build that stat. So I don't really have a choice. Like I have to slap shot anytime I get the fucking puck in their third. I don't know what the fucking terms are. Anytime it happens, because otherwise I can't build my character. And you don't get like, you can build your speed and stuff using these traits that you unlock, but you only unlock them when you get a points, like a level. You level up, you get an overall stat point level, and so you have to focus on building all that shit out as much as possible, because otherwise, you'll just stagnate and you'll never be able to. And my dude, like, I made a defensive enforcer, which obviously doesn't really exist all that much in today's NHL, but all I ever want to do in NHL video games is lay cunts out. I don't even care that much about shooting, to be honest. And I like, the Rangers have inexplicably made it to the fucking playoffs off the back of me, like, setting Panarin up with fucking goals. My dude, I think he just barely missed out on the one of the there's like a trophy you get for most points. No, most points in a year. And he just barely missed out on it to Panarin. Like both those characters were at the top. But I'm playing on Superstar. My guy's like a 75 or some shit. If anyone, like, if there's a fucking strong breeze, he loses his balance and falls over. But as long as he's on the breakaway, he can, and Panarin's beside him, either side, it doesn't matter. That's a goal. And so these games are like blowouts every fucking time, because as soon as I get on the breakaway, that's it. It's a goal. And so we'll finish. It'll be like competitive, 2 periods of competitiveness while I'm just slapshotting, trying to build up that stat. And then in the third period, I will just pass to Panarin and we'll finish the game like 9-4 or some shit. Like, without the 9 goals we got in the last period, we would have lost by 4, because I can't shoot for shit and I'm just throwing the fucking puck away. And we never, like, nobody on my team can win a fucking face-off. So, like, if it's in our fucking defensive third, it's over. Like, they are gonna get the fucking puck, and it's so difficult to fucking defend that shit. So yeah, like, but the flip side is that it's so easy to fucking score, and we wound up in the fucking playoffs. And my guy won the fucking Rookie of the Year and all this kind of shit, just by virtue of this dumb fucking system where I can just pass it and get an auto goal. And that's on the second hardest difficulty. And that's fucking ridiculous, man. Like, I just don't. Yeah, like, and at the same time, I just want to play a sports game, right? So I keep playing it, which is a bummer.
Yeah,
I find
like in NBA 2K with the My Career mode, you earn VC by either playing the game and scoring points, getting rebounds, setting screens, like doing anything in the game basically. And on top of that, there are sometimes goals as well that'll be like, hey, you know, you're down by 10 points, try and get back into the game, like tie the game up, or if you get a double you get points, or you know, get 10 assists and 10 rebounds, or like there's different milestones where it allows you to get VC, and then you use that VC to put it into like a range of different stats, from shooting to offensive abilities, playmaking, defense, stamina points. But it sounds like in NHL, you end up in this cycle of, like, if it was NBA, to be like, oh, every time you shot a 3-point shot, you get experience or a stat boost in 3-point, and like you slowly increment. And so you end up in this repetition of just doing the same thing over and over again, right? And so it's like, oh, I'm just going to rebound. If it was basketball, I'm just going to rebound every single time. And that is like all I'm doing. in order to build that stat. And that just sounds like it's not fun because now it's a grind all of a sudden of just doing the same thing over and over again as opposed to playing the game.
Well, it's part that, and the other part is that like you can't actually fill out the stats that aren't graded somehow, and that's as much as I hate the VC fucking system, because of how they monetize
It's tied to
right?
Yeah.
Because it's tied to monetization. But outside of that, it's actually a really fucking clever way to incentivize players to do basketball things. Whereas in NHL, it's sort of like when you're playing Morrowind for the first time, right? And your brother is like, "Oh, hey, jump everywhere." And you're like, "What?" He's like, "Jump everywhere. Do not run. Jump everywhere." And so if you jump everywhere in Morrowind, you like level up your fucking jumping stat until you can fucking like jump over city walls and shit. And yeah, you just become this god of fucking jumping. But your guy can't do anything else. Like he's fantastic at jumping, spectacular at jumping, but like if you throw a fucking handful of wet noodles at him, he'll fall over and unless he jumps out of the way, in which case he'll probably be fine. But yeah, like it's just one of those things where you wind up being railroaded into like not only are you extremely good at one thing, but it's also the only way for you to see meaningful progress. Morrowind obviously did a lot better by finding ways to measure a lot of the more interesting things that you can do, but NHL, yeah, the fact that I honestly, I've looked it up. I don't know how you're supposed to improve your speed without like training. You train, but it's like you get so many training hours a week, and you just spend those on fucking speed and balance because that's the only way to level those up. Which is, yeah, I just find it, yeah. There's just, I don't understand why they don't seem to care. Right? Like, yeah, they just don't seem to care.
I think it's just
not
back to it's a small
good.
market, right? So they just don't want to put too much money into it.
But what's a small market? How many how many copies does NHL sell? Copies sold. Let's see. Like, it's going to be big.
Is it?
Like it's a small. It's like that tweet right from the other day. That was like it said. What was it? It was the games industry is changing, right? The games industry is changing. 26% of EA's revenue came from premium game sales. This is Jeff Keighley. Came from premium game sales. The rest was from live service, DLC, mobile, microtransactions, right? And that is undoubtedly true. But the problem with that fucking analysis is that it doesn't take into account the fact that, like, a significant portion of that fucking money is going away. You can't pivot in that direction, right? You can't pivot in the direction of, oh yeah, microtransaction heavy. You can't go, oh, EA makes 74% of their money from fucking microtransactions. FIFA's FIFA Ultimate Team is worth like $2 billion a year or some shit, right? I want $2 billion a year. Fair enough. What is going to happen is not you make the next foot. What is going to happen is more governments like Belgium are going to follow the trend that Belgium began, and they're going to heavily regulate that shit. It'd be like fucking, I don't know, you like 19 when was it? Like 1995 or some shit. And you're like, I'm gonna start growing tobacco. And you're like, motherfucker, legislation is just around the corner about fucking cigarettes. This is not the time. You can't go Philip Morris is making $15 billion a year. Now it's time to make cancer sticks. Like, ridiculous. Focus the fuck up and, like, realize that this shit has been unchecked for ages and that gravy train is pulling into the station and it will not get back on the fucking rails. The reality is NHL, I believe, sells a fucking like bonanza. It's fucking making mad money. It's just a tiny drop in the ocean compared to what FIFA or Madden or NBA 2K make, because those games are raking in cash via their Ultimate Team versions. But or if NHL 21 isn't making a lot of money, the fucking, I don't know, the 2 years in a row of subpar fucking releases is probably something to do with it.
Yeah.
But it's not like people don't want good NHL games. People will pay for a good NHL game. It's just that, like, I can see the justification, right? This we go back to the fucking Danny Pudi, right? Like, the director of monetization, his line item shit, right? If you look at the line items, right, monetization, microtransactions dwarfs everything else. So why would they be used to prop up a part of the business that isn't making as much money? But if you stop looking so short-sightedly and you realize that, oh, if all they get is a subpar fucking soccer game with a highly addictive monetization scheme attached, and then we can't use gambling mechanics to trick children into becoming problem gamblers before they're 18. If that goes away, if we lose that opportunity, we are fucked. And countries have started taking that opportunity away. Perhaps we should make a good sports game again, as opposed to just using psychological tricks into trapping people into playing it. No, that's my problem, right? NHL isn't a small, like, I don't think it's a small market game. I think there are a lot of people who buy it. I can't find stats on how many it's sold.
I got VG charts up. I think it's broken at the moment, or they've got hamsters running this website. But I got one number up, and it was just over 1.2 million.
Really?
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like a lot.
No.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get some more up, but this site is just crapping itself every time I do it. Just errors.
Yeah. That seems, well, yeah, okay. Well, if it's, I mean, 1.2 million's still loads. But that doesn't seem good.
No.
Yeah. Shit. Well, maybe it is a small market. But, like, was it always? I don't understand. That's crazy, right?
I just like I think it's it's an American or North America sport mostly. I think we talked about this like last week. It's like Canada and America for NHL
Europe
at least.
Plays a lot of fucking ice hockey.
Yeah, but they want a like different NHL game. They don't want NHL.
That's what, like, yeah, that's broadly what I'm
They
saying.
want EuroLeague hockey.
EuroLeague, you reckon they want, right? I think you can actually start in the EuroLeague.
Oh, okay.
In this one. They signed a new deal, so they've extended the partnership with the NHL. EA did, like, late last year. So it's not, it's not coming to a close, but if they're content with just shitting out whatever every single fucking time, then yeah. I don't know. I'm at a loss. I want to play a fucking sports game, and I don't want the sports game to make me angry every other fucking minute. But here we are. Or bore me to tears, as is the case of baseball. So,
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe I just gotta hang out for what's this dodgeball game? Dodge City or Dodge Brawl or whatever the fuck it's called. What's it called?
Dodge Harla. I don't know.
Maybe it'll fill the hole in my heart that needs to be filled by sports games. I don't know. Yeah. What is it called? It's driving me fucking bananas. It's out like 2 weeks from now or a week from now. That EA one. Knockout City. What kind of name is Knockout? Why is it called Knockout City?
I don't know.
Why isn't it called
They'd already used
whatever?
Rocket League, so that's all they could get. Yeah. All right. Let's move on. That was NHL 21, which is available on, I think you're playing on Game Pass, right? On Xbox.
Yes, I am playing on Game Pass.
Yep. Next up, we've got a game called Tower Ball. This was recommended in our Discord channel by Krusty Raven. Oh, was it Frisco? Well, it was Krusty Raven the other day.
Oh.
Let me check.
Krusty Raven.
I don't get the wrong.
It was
wrong
Krusty
name.
Raven. My bad. Sorry,
It was Krusty Raven.
Yep.
I fired it up. So this is a free game available on Steam. It is a idle tower defense game, pachinko machine type thing, where you have set areas on this like pachinko board that you can put turrets onto, and these balls fall down that have hit points. And as the balls get smaller and smaller, they fall further and further into the play area, eventually getting small enough to be destroyed and disintegrated into a like incinerator down the bottom. You earn cash, and then you can spend that cash to put more turrets down or upgrade your existing turrets. And then you prestige the game to earn gems. The gems allow you to unlock more turrets, more upgrades, and also extra levels to play in. And so every time that you are on a level and you destroy a ball, that ball then falls to the next level and gets a big health boost, and you've got to try and destroy it again. And then it's generally worth more money. And hence, you end up in this levels and levels of different pachinko, I don't know what you call them, areas, and balls are dropping down. There's different turret placements that you've got to try and work with, combined with the different turrets that you get. You start off with a very basic like gun, and then you evolve up to like bombs, and you get to a point where there's like shrink rays and saws and acid balls and that sort of thing. It just keeps kind of going. I've only played for like, I think I started yesterday, and I've just kind of just left it running on my PC, and every once in a while I check in and like, all right, what am I going to buy now? Or should I prestige now? And then buy a bunch of upgrades and go from there. And it seems really interesting. It's very early access. I think it only came out about 3 weeks ago in April. And so it's quite light at this stage. Like, I don't know how deep it actually goes, because it looks like I'm pretty close to unlocking all of the towers or at this stage. But there's a lot of upgrades that I've still got to get through. So maybe that is where the depth is. But other than that, it seems pretty light at this point. But I like the idea, the concept of it is really cool. Of like multiple levels, and then when you destroy something, it then goes to the next level. And it's this like chain sort of effect as the balls fall down. Did you get a chance to check this out at all? Or?
I fired it up just before the podcast.
Right.
And started having a squiz. I like the concept. I think there's some juice in the concept. Because it's just sort of, I don't know. It's this. It is such an odd combination of incremental and tower defense, right? That weirdly works pretty well. And it feels like it probably shouldn't, right? To me, because I don't know. They aren't necessarily two concepts that belong together
Right.
to me. Uh, the tower defense idea is sort of extremely active. It requires a lot of activity, whereas incrementals are usually pretty anti-activity. So I don't know. It works out quite well in that it actually conveys a sense of both of those types of games. You feel like you are playing a tower defense, and you're playing even though there doesn't seem to be any existential risk. You can't fail at, like, the tower can't get, or the balls can't get through as far as I can see. They're like they wind up being stuck,
Yeah, that's
right?
the thing. It's very physics based, and like you can end
Yeah,
up in situations where balls get stuck and you haven't put towers in a spot where you need to put towers in order to get them unstuck. Because every time that you hit a ball, it loses health, and depending on how much health it has, is how big the ball is. So, um, the way you get things unstuck is by doing more damage to it, and the ball gets smaller and smaller, and that causes the balls to then bounce around and get unstuck and things move out of ways, and all of a sudden, like, now there's not a turret that can shoot it because things have moved around. And so
yeah,
you can get into those situations, and what I like about it is, again, each time you sort of prestige, you take the knowledge with you of, all right, I've
I
got
won't let that
these
happen.
these tools, and how do I best use them? And so, like, the very first level, I just build like one turret at this stage, like, because I know that I don't need the other turrets to deal with this particular level. I can just do the one, and
Yeah,
I can just hang with it for a bit and then go straight to the second one. And then, like, I fucked up one of the levels before. I just had like such a bad setup going, because every time you put a
yeah,
turret down, you can delete it, but it like, it still costs you money to put all this stuff
yeah.
down. So
You don't get the, like, money back, right? And it
right,
still increases the purchase price.
of each
You don't
one.
get that refund either.
Mm.
So yeah,
So if you go
um,
into it knowing, like, oh, if I put a saw blade here, the
yeah,
balls will get stuck, but also it's going to do the most amount of damage because I know that it's going to, like, it's most effective here. And then I'm going to use shrink rays in this spot because that seems to be like a good place to put them. And yeah, so it's a little bit of a, like, a roguelite sort of aspect of, like, taking that gained knowledge and then restarting and then going back and being like, all right, well, this is how I think this run should go, and I think I'll get more productivity out of it if I do it this way and upgrade, these things in this particular order, and that sort of thing. So, um,
yeah,
yeah, like, I'm enjoying figuring all that stuff out at the moment. It's yeah, it's a bit of fun.
yeah. It's good. It's free to play, or at least it's currently free. I'm not
Yeah,
sure of the exact mechanics of that. I don't know if you ever had to pay for it, but
I think they've got your favorite monetization gems in there to
right,
buy things. So
right. So yeah, the gems that you earn as you play, that you use to unlock upgrades,
yeah,
the like damage bonus upgrades, I guess. So you can buy those or something. It does have a bit of a mobile game feel to it, right?
yeah, it does.
Uh,
Even the screen is.
yeah, like it is. It's basically in portrait. Is it on
Yeah.
mobile?
Uh,
Because I could go for a new fucking. Oh,
yeah, it is.
uh
it's on
oh.
it's on Android.
Well, shit, eh? Because yeah, I'm still playing whatchamacallit. I'm still playing Idol Slayer, but
So am I. Yeah.
I'm not really getting anywhere anymore. Uh, I'm trying to get to like I've basically done everything I can in Idol Slayer,
Hmm.
as far as I can tell, outside of the shit that requires like quadrillions.
I'm at the point where I need like 3 billion souls to get an
Yeah,
upgrade,
I need
or something
yeah,
like that.
and I went and like farmed up all the materials, so I've got max on all of those.
Hmm.
So yeah, there's not even much I can get out of that anymore.
I'm at 25 stones.
25.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. What am I at? I am at. How do you fucking see that?
You
20.
click on
I'm at 20 stones.
your
But
stones.
I could currently ultra ascend for another 6, but I'm not gonna. Yeah. I'm just sort of I log in and I cycle my minions and I get my free boxes and then that's it. I close the app.
All right.
Which isn't fantastic.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, go and you fucking. This might be better on the phone. I don't know.
Yeah. It looks like it's on Android and Apple.
Nice.
Or PC, I guess, as well. So you can check that out. See how it goes. Anyway, should we move on? Keep on going here.
Do it.
You've got Metro Last Light. Are you talking about Metro Exodus here? Or did you play the old game?
I'm talking about Metro Exodus Enhanced
Okay.
Edition.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got a copy of this. I'd never played. I have played Last Light. I haven't played Exodus.
This is the third game in the series.
It's the third game in the series. And they recently released the Enhanced Edition that includes brand new like ray tracing features. Because when it first came out, it was the basically the prototype.
One of the first. It was like one of the first games to take the RTX stuff and show it off. When I went to a NVIDIA showcase, this was the game that was showing to like, hey, this is how this card will work. And like, oh yeah, cool. Because like Battlefield was running it, but it was still kind of like, hey, you can see a reflection here. They were doing more like reflection stuff and a little bit with lighting, whereas this was like going all out. It was like doing everything that it could with those cards, and it looked really cool.
So they've gone and ramped it all up again. Used the advancements in the technology to further enhance the ray tracing and all that stuff. I don't really personally buy in like in general. Ray tracing is a graphics enhancement.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen it used to like for gameplay enhancement, right? But that said, yeah, some of the like this game is fucking gorgeous. And it was more an excuse because I've heard you talked about it, Exodus when it first came out. You played it, and like, yeah, I know that there's some good stuff in this game that I just never got around to playing. I never got a chance to check it out when it first came out. And yeah, I enjoyed the Metro series, so I figured why not jump in and have a squiz. So far, so good. I mean, I'm not too deep yet, but holy shit, man, this game is fucking good looking and it runs really well. I don't know how it would necessarily go on an AMD card because I get the feeling that DLSS is doing a lot of the fucking heavy lifting on this one, like keeping it going at a decent frame rate.
It's DLS 2.1 this time, I think.
I think it's just 2.0.
Oh, okay.
I don't think 2.1 has hit yet.
I think there's some stuff using 2.1, and I thought Metro was one of the first ones. You could be right though.
I'm pretty sure it's 2.0. Yeah. But yeah, they might upgrade it to 2.1 eventually. It is, yeah, it's one of those games where, yeah, it is. When I turn it off, when I turn DLSS off, it goes okay until you like go outside, then it starts to shit its pants. So I would be interested to see how we go on AMT cards, but on the 3080, it's a fucking banger. So yeah, just sort of making my way through it so far, but it's good. I love the world. I've always loved the world building of Metro, and yeah, they do such a good job of marrying that, all survival and horror, and that bleak, nihilistic Russian outlook. So yeah, it's good so far, but I haven't played loads of it.
Did you get to train yet? Or
no, I haven't reached train yet.
The train is sort of like the device used to get you around to the different areas. Because each area is kind of broken up into hubs.
Yeah. I know I think I'm nearly finished with that first section.
Right.
But I had to bounce off. So yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Just wanted to shout it out because yeah, it does look fucking phenomenal. But haven't played loads
yet. I'm looking at a couple articles here that say it's DLSS 2.1, and then but also there's an NVIDIA article that says it's 2.0. So I don't know.
I've got a direct from NVIDIA saying 2.0, which is what I guess.
I'm looking at a couple like Eurogame previews. There's one here that is from their YouTube page that says it's 2.1. So I don't know. It looks like maybe a bit of a either communication issue.
Yeah, the reviewer's guide says 2.0. The NVIDIA docu, it's a highly technical document from like just fucking dollars dishwater from NVIDIA. Here we go. Come on, we'll get there. I'm on the 4A Games breakdown of it. No, 4A Games reckons it's 2.0.
Yeah. Maybe they screwed up. Maybe it's coming.
Maybe. Yeah, that's my guess. Is it might be coming later. But
anyway.
Not here yet. Anyway,
all right.
Yeah. Speaking of DLSS, it's not on the list, but we played some Warzone.
We did, yes.
I'll tell you what, I don't want to play Warzone. It's not Resurgence anymore. I just don't like it if it's not Resurgence. I hate. Oh no, you know what it is? It's not that I don't like Warzone. I hate that new fucking gulag. Why would they? What a fucking dog shit fucking design for a gulag. Like, what are they thinking? There's a fucking half a house in the middle of the fucking thing?
Yeah.
Like
multi-storied house.
Right? It's just trash design. And then the flag is outside. It's
behind
so
a
fucking
car.
dumb.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. The gulag just needed to be a simple, just a simple fucking duel arena. Like, it doesn't need all this fucking garbage. Anyway, and I'm not a huge fan of most of the weapons that we're finding on the ground in Warzone because they're reverted. They got rid of all the Modern Warfare weapons. It's now only Black Ops Cold War weapons. And yeah, so you keep continuously running into all of Black Ops Cold War's ridiculous shotguns when all you've found is some sort of fucking slow firing World War II fucking SMG or some shit. You're like, oh, good. Guess I'll go to the world's shittiest gulag. One-way ticket. Fantastic. I'm having the time of my life.
Yeah.
And again, yeah, just wind up in. I still hate loadouts, and we ran into it like when I rage quit. When we were playing a couple of days ago. We ran into. I had a fucking Mac 10, and they've nerfed all the problem weapons. So the Mac 10 has a slower fire rate, than some fucking custom built AK that this dude was running around with. And it's like, Christ, this game is so cooked. Like, they literally replace, oh, we've listened to your feedback and we've adjusted the weapons accordingly. But they don't preemptively adjust anything. I'm so fucking done with that shit, man. Like, I'm so done with them, their complete inability to fucking balance anything. And I know they're doing it deliberately. I know they deliberately don't balance that shit. Like, they specifically have overpowered weapons. But, like, for fuck's sake, can you just pretend?
Yeah.
Like, just
the
have
problem
one
is that
fucking half a season where the fucking weapons aren't fucking absolutely cooked or something.
Yeah.
No.
I think we talked about this, right? Is that them having to tie it to the mainline game. So hopefully now that they've diverged away and have a dedicated team working on it, that won't happen anymore. But I guess we find out.
It absolutely will continue to happen. They just this is their fucking MO. This is what they do, man. Like, this is how they make money. People buy the fucking battle pass so they can skip levels and like jump ahead to the overpowered weapons, right? That's how it happens. That's how it fucking works. It's not like it's gonna stop. Like, it's not like they're gonna fix it. Because they've been taught to do it, you know? Anyway, based on the Joab Gilroy patented is this game dying measurements, we struggled pretty heavily to get a fucking game going at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which, according to the Joab metric, doesn't bode well for the game. Like, it used to be Instapop at that time, but we couldn't get a trios game going. Makes me wonder how that shit's working out.
I think also because they've got multiple playlists going as well now. They had like 4 or something. Like, on top of the like, hey, I want to play this mode. It's like each mode has solos, duos, and trios, and then there's like one with quads, and then like, so there's I don't know what 20 different queues going or something just in Warzone. So I'm sure that doesn't help their cause.
Maybe not, but
yeah. All right, let's keep moving on then. That's Warzone. Trials of Fire.
Trials of Fire. I'm still playing it, still enjoying it. It's just it's like I've unlocked all the characters now. I still very like dearly wish they would implement some method of speeding everything the fuck up, because now that I feel like I have seen almost everything in the game, the slow pace of the way some cards play or some shit plays out is just so fucking infuriating when you're just like, can we just fucking go? And it's exacerbated by the fact that I feel like the start of every game is essentially the same. Like, it doesn't matter which quest you pick. The start is pretty much always the same. You move in the direction of the arrow. Like, the text explaining what quest you're on might be different, but the basic core mechanics are the same. You move in the direction of the arrow. You play with your garbage, the garbage cards that your character starts off with. You've always got way too many pointless fucking swipes. And so it's basically just that first step in every quest is just treading water until you can get rid of that shit. And yeah, so because it feels very similar, that first third, the slow pace of it sort of feels even slower. And if I could just fucking have a move at 2 times speed option, it'd dramatically change how I feel about that. I wonder if it's similar to the feeling I got of Loop Hero, where once you know at a glance what every fucking card does, right? You don't need this. You don't need it to come up real slow and show itself, and you don't need to fucking. Oh, I don't need to fucking stop the loop to drop a fucking card. I just want to fucking get this shit out of here. It's just like let's go. Like I'm fucking trying to churn through some shit here. Like in Loop Hero, obviously you're just trying to like earn materials and stuff that you can spend back at your main town and level that shit up. But in Trials of Fire, what you're trying to do is just get through that first third. So that then, because it's also pretty much guaranteed, right? Like you're not going to lose if you choose to take a fight in the first third of the game. You're not going to lose it because you don't like. You get to a point once you've unlocked all the characters, you get to a point where you know to not take dumb fights. Basically, you know you have a good idea of what fights you can and can't take, and so you won't take fights that you know you'll fucking lose. So there's just no real point to it, except that I know you can't get rid of it because the RNG of what cards, like when you level up and who levels up, where and what cards you get when you're leveling up and all that stuff. That's part of the essence of what makes the game interesting. But at the same time, yeah, I just don't need it to be as fucking slow as it is. Like when the time estimate of a quest is like 180 minutes, I don't need the first 60. Like that first 60, you can press that first 60 down to 15 because it's always going to be the fucking roughly the same with the exception of a couple of small RNG details. Like you can press, I am having a much better fucking time. And it's the same, like, yeah, in Loop Hero, right? Like you just fucking belt through the first 10 loops so that you can get to the boss and then decide what you're going to do. Either you fight the boss or you fucking piss off and go like back to your town. But if you stay, right, then suddenly you start to pay attention because everything sort of ramps up as you approach like the 20th loop or the 25th loop, right? And so you've got to pay more attention to what you're doing because you're trying to achieve certain things. Yeah, it's just, yeah, I just wish that fucking first part of everyone was faster because there isn't enough variance for it to be interesting. Yeah. Anyway,
have they done any updates since you last played, or is it pretty much the same?
there was an update. There was an update. I think it was just some balancing.
Right.
Yeah, they added gamepad support.
Oh, okay.
And they nerfed the spirit speaker a little, even though I hated that character. Apparently, he's extremely useful. I thought he was shit-tastic. But shows what I know, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
So still waiting on that speed button.
Just need a speed button. Come on.
Yep.
Give me the speed button.
All right. Cool.
Yep.
That is Trials of Fire. Available on Steam. And last game we got here is Returnal.
Yes.
I played a bunch more of that over the last week.
Yep.
That's a really good game. Really, really good. It got to a point. There's the thing that happens in that game, which like completely sort of flips it on its head a little bit, like, and things just go nuts. And that point for me was just like so uh, unexpected and surprising. Um, I don't know what else to say to call it, but yeah, it wasn't. I didn't see it coming, I guess, and now I spoiled it for people. But I won't say what it is. I had no idea that was coming, and I'm still playing that game, having a lot of fun with it. I thought I was going to be done at this stage, and I'm not.
Yep.
And so, what I like about it so much is that I had like I sat down the other day. I must have played like 6 hours straight. Just had like one run. Went from the first biome to the third biome. I know that you can like skip them. There's sort of like shortcuts that you can find, but
Yep.
at that stage, I wasn't sure how the progression worked in terms of weapon proficiency and like leveling up like the guns that you get. Um, so basically, you can skip biomes and you'll get a large chunk of proficiency, and that generally will bring you up to scratch of where you should be. But I think what you miss out on is all um, the other bits in between, like getting the parasites and getting your integrity up, like getting more health. And so, yes, you're able to make the game go quicker by getting that weapon boost, but you're also missing out on all that other stuff. So it's a kind of risk reward thing. And then so you end up with these enormous long runs, which is what I was doing the other day. I just kind of sat there and went through one big run where I played it for 6 hours, got to the second biome boss, beat it in one go, then got to the third biome boss, beat that in one go, and was like, that was awesome. And so I really enjoy the sort of that combat, the things that game throws at you, and the progression loop of unlocking new weapons and then getting the each weapon has its own like stat bonuses, and sometimes you find stuff that you haven't gotten before, and so you need to level that up to unlock it. And it's this like rolling of all this different loot that keeps coming in, and stuff that you've not seen before, and learning how that works. Because I think last week we talked about how like you missed the hollow, was it the hollow seeker? And
Yeah, I never got it.
yeah, how that like that gun's amazing. It's really cool to play.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it is a ridiculous weapon. I feel like I really missed out because yeah, I went and finished the game again.
mm,
Because there's a secret ending. And I found out that that the Hollow Seeker has basically the most broken shit on it outside of the thermogenic launcher, which yeah, there's yeah, I'm on like some extremely high level strategy shit now, but there are two weapons in that game where if you find them with the right traits, you don't need any levels. You could take them into like, because they get all the way up to 30, level 30, and you are better with the thermogenic launcher and full auto, or a hollow seeker and a portal beam portal turret. Yeah, you're better off with those two at level 15.
yep.
Than you are with any other weapon. Literally any other weapon at level 30. There is no comparison. You will not die, but you might die with any other weapon. And it's probably a problem, I would say. It's probably not ideal that it works that way, but it does work that way. So, yeah. It's probably broken. They should probably nerf. But that's the thing, right? The thermogenic launcher without full auto.
It's like three
One of the
rockets,
worst.
right?
Yeah. One of the worst guns in the game.
Hmm.
One of the worst guns in the game. Not the worst gun in the game. That would be the pyro whatever the fuck.
The electric one.
No, the electric one's fucking amazing. That's probably the third best weapon.
I
No,
don't remember the pyro.
there's like a fire grenade launcher, and it
Okay.
fires these like spurting things. You should have found it, I think. Maybe you haven't reached it yet. I don't know.
Not sure.
Where are you up to? What biome are you up to? 5.
I'm still going. Yeah, 5.
Okay. Yeah, maybe it's biome 6. I don't know. There's only 6 biomes. There's 2 endings. Yeah. It's yeah.
It's longer than what I thought it was. It's a longer
Right.
game than what I thought it was. Yeah. And so that,
Because you're
yeah.
bad at games, or
No, I just like I thought it was going to be a lot shorter than what it was. But it
was
wasn't.
pretty sure for me. Well, that's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is it didn't take me that long to finish.
Well, you've had more time with it than I have, so well, you played like 2 sessions. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I really like the combat. I think the one issue that I'm sort of having with it is I think it's got like a memory leak or something in it, where if I leave it on too long, it just kind of shits itself. I got one gun. It could not, every time I pulled the trigger, the frame rate would just tank because there was so much shit on the screen. And the further you get into that game, the more stuff is on the screen, just because the type of enemies that you come up against. And I feel like that is something on like it's something's going on. It shouldn't be doing that, because everything I've heard is like, oh, the game runs smoothly on, solid 60.
They did a patch over the weekend that I think made the game worse. I don't know what it is. Because I did have one crash, maybe 2 crashes. I can't remember the exact timeline. Before we podcasted last week.
Yeah.
Which was not fantastic, not ideal. But over the weekend, I had like 2 more crashes, plus one where I had to unplug the PlayStation.
Right.
Because it full hanged. And to rectify that problem, yeah. Fuck, man. Not good, man. Like that's not how that shit should fucking go down. So it's crashed, right? And I had to unplug the PlayStation, and that triggered the requirement. If you unplug the PlayStation while it's on, it needs to rebuild the fucking database. Which
database? The database?
The database.
Oh.
It's just what the PlayStation says when you unplug it while it's on. It's like, you did not power the PlayStation off correctly. We need to rebuild the database. And then it sits there for fucking 2 minutes rebuilding the database. And the whole time, you're sitting there going, if this has killed my fucking save game, I'm going to lose my fucking shit. Anyway. So yeah, it's just not good, the way, like, those crashes, man. And I'm pretty sure it happened, like, the bulk of those crashes started to happen after the latest update, which I know the update prior to that actually was corrupting people's save games and shit. So they're just not having a fucking good time patching this fucking game. I still think it's a fantastic game, although I'll tell you what, the more I played it, the less I liked it. For a number of reasons that I can't really go into. But it's almost like a magic trick. And I know I use this fucking analogy all the time, but it's almost like a magic trick. In this one, the trick is like, while the mystery still exists, the game is better. And as you slowly peel back the layers of mystery, I feel like it loses something, which is a bit of a shame. I still think it's a fantastically told story, and I think it's like really well done. But yeah, I wish I hadn't. From a gameplay perspective, I'm glad I went back and did the secret ending. Although annoyingly, because of the way I finished the game the first time, I actually spent a bunch of time looking for you got to collect these 6 things, 1 in each biome, but you can't collect them until you've seen. So there's this house in the game world that you'll go into, and you experience these cutscenes. And you'll go through 3 in the first biome, and you'll go through 2 in the fourth biome. And if you don't go through 2 in the fourth biome, you can't start to find these, because they expect that you die while going through the fourth biome. But because I just fucking belted through the game, as soon as I got to the, I didn't die. I just didn't fucking die. And because of the way I did it, I never looped back and went and did that, the house the second time in the fourth biome. So I spent all this time trying to find these fucking items that you require from each biome, and I couldn't fucking find them, and it was infuriating. And I eventually had to, I had to Google what the fuck was going on, and yeah, so I just pissed away a fuck ton of time in the wrong biome. I had to go back to the fourth biome and then do that thing, and then I had to loop again, and then I had to go through it all again. And yeah, it was just a bit disappointing from that perspective. I learned a lot about how to maximize your chances of success as well, because while I didn't die at all my first playthrough, I actually died a shit ton after that. There's an enemy in the 6th biome that is going to fuck you up. And because it's a roguelike, and because there's RNG involved, there's a percentage chance that you never run into the motherfucker. And there's also a percentage chance that you run into the tools you require to absolutely pants the cunt. And that's basically what must have happened the first time. I don't think I ran into him, and I had everything I needed to just fucking finish the game. There are a bunch of artifacts. Like, you wind up in a, like, when you're trying to, all you're trying to do is get to the 6th biome so you can search every single room, which maximizes the opportunity for you to run into this guy who I believe is harder than the fucking final boss. Like, he doesn't have as big a health pool, but he's far more dangerous. There are strategies you employ, right? Like, it's a roguelite game, whatever the fuck. It's a roguelite game, which means at its core, it's about risk management. And risk management requires you to analyze where your risk comes from, and then determine a strategy around like minimizing that risk. And so if all you are doing is constantly looping and trying to get back to the 6th biome, you've got like options, right? You can either like I tried every single fucking method. You can piss bolt straight through the 4th biome. You can just piss bolt straight to the 6th biome. You can actually really easily do that. You just don't take any fights. If you get locked in, you reset. Like, if you get locked in a room, you just reset. Because it's faster than doing the fight and then piss bolting. And then you just get to the 6th biome, and you will probably fucking die. You can pretty accurately determine whether or not you're going to fail based on whether or not there's like 3 items, right? Just before you go to the 6th biome or 5th or 6th biome, there's like one of those fabricators, right? And the fabricators allow you to spend your Ublights to earn to acquire artifacts from a selection of 4, right? And there's one that everyone loves, which is the Spaceman. But there are 3 that I believe, if you have the choice of one or more of them at this fabricator in the 4th biome, you will probably win. And I can say them if you'd like, or I can not say them. But yeah, these 3 things you will not lose. Artifacts are way more important than weapons. Over the course of however many rooms you open, you will probably find a thermogenic launcher with full auto or a hollow seeker with either portal beam or portal turret, or hopefully both. If you find both, you literally never get rid of that gun. You just don't get rid of it. It is there's no way. There's no way you get rid of that gun. And then the flip side of that is as you go through the rest of the fucking game, if you open every fucking room in 5 or 6, you'll probably find a better version of one of those two anyway. So I don't know what it is, but it seems like the game like tends to give you weapons you like more often than like there's what is there like 11 guns in the game, but I didn't feel like I saw all 11 weapons all the time. I felt like I would go on a run where in the 4th biome I'd get served up like, I don't know, 5 of my least favorite fucking weapon, the pyro, whatever the fuck, pyro shell caster. I'd see like 5 of those fucking things, and then in the 6th biome you wouldn't see them, and on the next run you wouldn't see them. I don't know if it's like pure RNG or if it's weighting the fact that I would literally rather run around with the starting pistol than a fucking pyro shell caster, but I got the feeling like it was no longer serving up trash weapons I didn't want to fucking pick up. So I got that. I don't know if that actually like renders out as a part of the game or not, but I got the feeling like it was doing that, which is I appreciate that quite a bit. Although it does mean that like you can sort of count on finding a weapon that you like, and you can count on resetting a run if you start to get weapons you don't like. And there's a degree of management in that, and you just sort of just I don't know. You just have to be happy to fucking reset sometimes. Like, you just have, like it turns out resetting's the only fucking way to get the secret ending anyway. So like being really good at the game and never fucking dying on your first run through Act 2 is not the way to get the secret ending. It will actively fuck you trying to get the secret ending. So yeah, looping is the fucking way to go about it, right? Like, might as well just loop. And this is some of the fucking behind the curtain shit, I guess, that has spoiled the game a little for me, but I still think it's really good. I just, man, if I'd finished it and finished the secret ending and then reviewed it, I was very tempted to write a review. But yeah, like I would review if I roll credits, like the review I'd write of the first credits roll would be very different of the review I'd write of the second credits roll. And then there's more. It's more of a shame that I didn't write those 2 reviews than anything really. Yeah. First credits roll probably 9.5. Second credits roll 7.5. I reckon. Yeah. Still a good game, but
yeah, you start to see how the sausage is made once you keep playing more and more of it, because it is such a. I mean, it's a single player game. There is multiplayer elements in there. Not really. I played a little bit of the challenge mode and did like one run, and it's kind of a time based / how many things can you kill, how quickly can you kill them, and try and get to the end. I did one of them and got like, I think it put me in the 30s, like 34 or something like that.
Nice.
And then it gives you like a bunch of points to use, but it's like, it's nothing significant. It's like 5. You kind of, it doesn't feel like it's enough maybe. Like if I played the normal game, I feel like I could get them quicker. And so I really wasn't sure why you'd want to do that as opposed to just like, it's longevity, right? It's for the people that do play it and then are like, all right, I want to keep playing this, but I don't want to keep playing the single player game. It's like I can play this weird challenge mode with modifiers, and at least it's like refreshing then. It's the Spelunky type system of
Yeah,
jumping in and just screwing around, right? And it gives it some legs. Have you played that at all?
yeah. I did one run, and it was like some mode where like the modifiers were as soon as you take a hit, you start to gradually lose health.
Yeah, yeah, yep.
But it was in biome 6, and I was looping around, and I basically like jumped around a corner and landed right in front of like overlapping rings.
Mm.
And I died in about like a second and a half. And I was like, I could see it coming too. Like I've jumped around this corner and I'm landing. I'm like, I am done. Cool. And that was like, I don't know, fucking 20 seconds into the run. I'm like, well, fuck.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not good at this game. But yeah,
Mm.
I am in fact very good at the game.
It has like a very sort of like Dark Soulsy, like it shows you where other scouts have died, and it kind of tells you like how long they survived or like their death time. It doesn't do the death, the blood stain, like, hey, here's a like shadowy figure of this thing getting killed. It's more or less just like a body, dead body on the ground, and I don't think that adds anything. I think if anything, it just gets in the way because I don't know if you saw this stuff, but it brings up like a pop up. If you run over the top of a gun, it brings up the pop up on the screen. It says like,
dude,
hey,
I hate that shit. Holy
this
shit.
thing is like in the middle of the screen, like dead center.
Is this in the challenge mode?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds.
It just pops up, and so you'll be running around in the middle of a fight, and then half your screen gets blocked for like a millisecond or something. But it's still like frustrating because you're trying to kill things, and it's a game where you're avoiding immense amount of damage, trying to react to these things coming at you really quickly, and dodge out of the way, and then all of a sudden it's like I can't see anything because it's telling me there's a dead person here, which doesn't give me any information other than this person died here.
This person died. How did they die? A giant pop-up came up in their screen.
Yeah.
From the person who died 2 meters further along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I jumped into the options to see if there's a way to switch them off because I don't need that, but they're not there. I'm sure that's something that they'll deal with eventually. Like it's a cool idea of that, but they don't do anything cool with it. Like, show me the Dark Souls thing of like, hey, here's a person dying. Here's them like dodging out of the way and getting hit by something, or I don't know, man. But it doesn't do that. So anyway, I'm enjoying it. I still got to jump in and keep playing and try and finish it. Hopefully, I'll get through it in the next couple of days when I get some time.
You gotta finish it.
Yeah, it's good fun. That's Returnal. All right. Should we do some news? There's a little bit of stuff here. We got a bunch of Ubisoft, or is it Ubisoft? What are we going with?
We're going with Ubisoft.
Yep. So there was an investors call yesterday, and during that, somebody made a statement, a Ubisoft executive, which didn't chime well with a lot of people. They basically said that they'll be moving away from releasing 3 to 4 AAA games a year, and instead will be building high-end free-to-play games. This got people a bit riled up, and it turns out that person misspoke for obvious reasons. They later clarified today that they will not be moving away from releasing 3 to 4 AAA games a year. Instead, they'll be investing more time in free-to-play experiences as a priority. So it just means that they'll be doing more free-to-play games as opposed to moving away from AAA games. Is this still a concerning thing for them to be doing? Like Ubisoft is still one of the studios releasing single player-ish AAA games, story-driven games, Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, the Tom Clancy stuff.
Yep.
The Division, like, they haven't gone down the hole of really driving home free to play microtransaction games that we've seen. They had a little dabble with it with the that battle royale game, which I can't think of because nobody plays it anymore. Hyperscape. But I think the sort of examples that people were looking at is like, hey, how can we make a game like Just Dance
Yeah.
a bit more friendly for people to consume? What are your sort of initial thoughts on this move or change for them?
Yeah, I think people overreacted a little bit to the initial uh, news.
Mm,
Because I think it was couched. I think a lot of people's initial
yeah.
encounter with it was that Jeff Keighley tweet, right?
It wasn't just that, but it was also like this statement they put out. It was phrased badly. They phrased it badly. It
Yeah.
wasn't just him. There was multiple people that said the same thing.
No, absolutely. I'm not saying, I'm not laying it all at Jeff Keighley's feet. I'm just saying it was framed in terms of video games are changing and evolving. What do you think? I don't. I think that sort of put people in a mood, right?
Yeah.
Kind of thinking in a certain way, but that isn't really the deal. 3 to 4 AAA games a year is pretty fucking nuts, right? Like that's a fucking lot.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like moving away from that might not be the worst thing in the world for Ubisoft if they were to focus on doing 2 of them really well instead of Watch Dogs Legion getting it out there and then 4 months later doing the big patch that they did to sort of fix it as much as possible and stuff like that. Like if they were to have delayed that one and just had like 2 AAA games that year, then I think that would have been better for everyone anyway. And yeah, otherwise, yeah, like I can see why they're trying to like you were saying about Just Dance. Like they're trying to find ways for people to get their more casual stuff in a better manner, in a more consumer friendly way. I think that's fine.
Or even games that don't necessarily cater well these days to the $60, $100 experience of like, hey, here's a game that you want to play. We're not going to have it be a fully priced game. It's going to be something that you play for free, but also there's a battle pass in there or that sort of thing. Like we've seen them experiment with the battle pass system in Rainbow Six Siege, which is working, it seems like, pretty well. But I guess one of those examples, right, is that they announced a new Division game called the Division Heartland, which will be set in the same universe, but it's going to, they said, offer a new perspective and new setting in this universe. So I don't expect this to be a slimmed down version of the Division. I think it is something in that world that's going to be different. Like the obvious choice for me is like a battle royale or something like that, and that it's going to which fits perfectly with that free to play model of here's a game, here's a battle pass system, and you can play it that way. They tried the battle royale with, as you said, Hyperscape. That didn't work. Yep. I think I've always said I want a battle royale game from Ubisoft that uses either that Ghost Recon system or the Division.
Ghost Recon, yeah.
Ghost Recon can be sick. But if they want to do it in the Division, I mean, they're quite similar in terms of their styles. And then they could just have it be more lethal in that case. But I mean, I'm just guessing at this stage. But that makes sense to me. If they were like, hey, we're going to make a Division game called Heartland and it's a battle royale game, it's also free to play. Yeah, I'd play that. Like that makes sense. And people wouldn't buy it because, most of the good ones that are out these days, like who's paying for that sort of stuff anymore?
Yeah.
Apex is
Yeah,
free,
exactly.
Warzone's free, Fortnite is free. Like imagine going into the ring with that and being like, hey, you got to pay money. You you're dead. You're not getting out of there. So
Yeah.
I don't know. What
Yeah.
like when you heard about this announcement of Heartland, is that something? Well, like we don't know what it is yet, but what is your sort of
I assumed it
feeling?
was a battle royale as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. That was my first guess. It feels like I prefer my battle royales to have a bit more lethality, but I do think that they could do some really interesting shit in the Ghost Recon. The Division
Hmm.
world, based on the fact that they had that fucking the Dark Zone or stuff or
Yeah.
something
Dark Zone
like
stuff is
that.
cool.
That always felt like it had a lot of potential to be pretty rad,
Hmm.
and yeah. I don't know if it was. I don't know about wasted opportunity necessarily, but it did feel like um, they could have done something uh, or done more with it. To like that would be how you would get me back into the division, is more zone stuff.
Right.
Because I just find the fucking regular running around identical streets in New York, shooting dudes with too much fucking health to be unbelievably tedious.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
That it reminds me of the Dark Zone stuff. Reminds me of like Escape from Tarkov, where that is at the moment, of like running
mm,
into an area, getting a bunch of gear, and like extracting.
mm,
Um, that's why like the Dark Zone was very much that, but rather than you like leaving the map, you would kind of just extract at a point, get your gear, and then you could kind of keep exploring.
yeah,
So, I mean, that's one way they could do it. I think the battle royale would be interesting, but also you'd have to probably go first person, right? At this stage.
you reckon? I don't think a battle royale has to be first person
But if they
necessarily.
want that lethality, I think it needs to be. Otherwise, we get in that position where PUBG was, and it was just people hiding behind walls and trees the entire time.
Mm. But I don't think the division does enough lethality for it to be, like they can't have a division game with high lethality, right?
Mm. I think they can. It's not like I think it's in the same world, but it doesn't necessarily have to have like bullet spongy enemies or
Mm.
players.
I don't know. I disagree. I think that is the essence of the game. Love it or hate it. Like that is what um the division is about.
Mm.
Is that sponginess. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. I guess we'll
Yeah.
see. Right. They have this slated for releasing within the next year, or a 2021, 2022 window.
Yep.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we see something in the next like 2 months
Yep.
or next month, a month from now, E3.
Oh yeah. E3.
Yeah,
Mm.
makes sense. Ubisoft also announced that they have delayed Skull and Bones, which is apparently still a game that also has a release date of April 2022 to March 2023. The last time we saw Skull and Bones was like E3 2018, I think
Mm-hmm.
was the last time. It was on the floor at E3 that year when I was there.
Yeah.
It's just like
Just just let it die.
I don't know, man. Like
Like
I've still got hope for that game. Like if it turns out to be a Ubisoft's take on Sea of Thieves, like I'm in. I'll play it.
yeah,
Absolutely.
sure. It will not be that, but
Mm,
yeah, I can see why you'd want to play that. We should play Sea of Thieves again.
we should. I
What
was
are we
gonna
doing?
jump in yesterday until I
Oh yeah.
realized that there is still no way you can play that game by yourself. So I
Ah,
gave
right.
up
And
and do
you didn't want
anything useful.
you
Yeah,
didn't want to play any games with me, so you're like, well, fuck inviting Joab along. I'll just no, I see how it is. No, it's fine. I won't take it personally.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, no,
Um,
it's fine. Oh, I'm not gonna cry.
And that's it for the Ubisoft news. I'm sure there was other stuff that came out of that, but most of the meaty stuff is those announcements. Next up, EA also had investors call, and our mate Andy Wilson said that the next Battlefield will be revealed in June. I guess the big takeaway from this is stuff we've already heard echoed in the past, bigger player count, which people would be surprised about, very surprised about. And then the destructibility is the other big one.
Yeah.
Much else? Yeah.
I'm pumped. I'm excited. I can't wait. Like, Battlefield's basically what I'm holding out for this year. I don't know what else is coming that is going to be interesting. Really. Yeah. Or like is going to capture my attention the way Battlefield will. And you know, theoretically it'll have a battle royale.
Next year.
Theoretically, they won't fuck with the TTK every other fucking week. Like theoretically, it's going to be the game to end all games, and I am cyberpunking myself here, and just setting myself up for glorious disappointment. So that's good. It's good.
Yep.
I know I'm doing it. That's the best part. Is I know I'm doing it, and yet I can't stop. So, yeah. Great.
Yeah, we'll
Yay.
see. Do you think they're going to show gameplay of this, or is it going to be another fucking in-game engine clip?
Oh yeah, no, it'll be in-game engine for sure. It will not be single player though. They have learned that lesson for sure. Like surely, right? Like you can only hope. I don't know how many times. How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? Yeah.
Right.
Anyway.
And the last piece of news that we've got written down here is the CEO of Intel expects microchip and integrated circuits shortages to last probably another couple of years. This is on the back of rumors that PlayStation is working on a revised unit to deal with these issues. These shortages have been happening for I guess the better part of over a year now, where it's not just affecting gaming in terms of GPUs and PlayStation consoles, Xbox consoles, but now it's also affecting the like car manufacturers and like it's just everywhere basically. And it looks like it's going to be that case for a while. Do you think this is a problem? Like going forward, the next like do we see a new graphics card from Nvidia or like in next year, like the 30, not the 3080, the 40 series, or like what's the plan? How do you see gaming sort of evolving over the next year and a half because of this?
Yeah, I reckon they don't care, eh? Like I reckon they will sell whatever the fuck they can. Whenever they can. They don't give a shit. They will just get their money out. Because they'll get their money out of it just by announcing that shit because they don't care. They're just in it for whatever they can get out of it. And yeah, I think that'll be enough, right? That'll work for them is this constant cycle of new launches that only like fucking it doesn't matter if 3 people can get it because that's their fucking they're still making money on the last series on the series before that. Like yeah, I think that shit's working for them. Yeah, anyway, like I know that's probably a bit cynical, but as always I don't give a shit. I'm just a cynical person.
Right.
And it's
I feel like in terms of I think this could slow down. Like I expect the next generation hardware to be pushed back a little bit because of this sort of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Like the hardware outside of the cards themselves, I agree, but
Mm.
I think they'll just keep churning cards and chips out wherever they can, man. Honestly, I think they need that release cycle, right? For their like shareholders and shit.
Mm. Yeah, maybe.
Yep,
I guess
that's my theory.
yeah, we'll see what happens. Anyway, that is the news for this week. Anything else you can think of you want to quickly mention, or anything happen while we've
I
been
don't think so.
talking? I haven't
Not that
been
I don't
keeping
think
an
so.
eye. All right, that is it. We don't have any questions, I don't think, this week.
We do have a
So,
question.
oh, we do.
Yes, we do.
Oh, I must have missed it.
Frisco writes, after seeing all the articles about Activision Blizzard, this must be why I thought Frisco pitched Tower Ball. After seeing all the articles about Activision Blizzard and the general state of AAA development, it seems like investors and producer execs have a lot more influence than in other creative industries. Would we see a lot more creativity if we treated the games industry a lot more like the film industry, where directors are fighting for creative decisions a lot more publicly? Should we as gamers throw more support behind individual dev stars like Yoko Taro so that we may see more games outside the box? It's an interesting question for two reasons. I don't think investors and producers have more influence than in other creative industries.
Yeah.
And I think Yoko Taro might be the fucking perfect example of that, right? Because that dude is sort of just allowed to do what he wants. He's like left to do whatever he likes. He like near Automata and near Replicant or whatever the fuck it's called. Like the way he's marketed that game, the way he has gone about making Replicant, the not a remake that he wants it to be, and all that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, it seems like he's got a lot of power to wield, and like absolutely we should support more individual dev stars like Yoko Taro. I agree with that, absolutely. Although at the same time, we run the risk of like lionizing these single elements when games require many more people to make them than any movie ever has. Like there's a reason the credits on Grand Theft Auto go longer than a fucking episode of a TV show. Like not the credits of a TV show. They go longer than the full fucking episode of the TV show. Because like thousands of people work on that shit. Like, but we wind up being all like, oh, the Hauser brothers made a really good game with Grand Theft Auto, and you're like, hang on,
Yeah.
did you not sit through half an hour of fucking credits? Yeah. So I think we run the risk of like lifting up one person at the expense of many. But at the same time, I don't think like look at the Justice League thing, right? Like the only reason we got Zack Snyder's Justice League is because they didn't have anything for HBO Max. It's not because he was vocal online. Snyder only became vocal about the Snyder Cut after it had already been greenlit. It's like if I recall the timeline correctly. Yeah, I think movie execs, like there's a long history of movie executives meddling in film in ways that are ultimately detrimental. I suppose you're like Frisco's talking about the idea of films being greenlit in the first place, but there's just like we just don't see what happens when a film doesn't get greenlit. Like how long does a film take to make, right? Like
not that long. Like in comparison,
a couple of months of shooting. Yeah, a couple of months of shooting. Obviously, however long the script takes, right? That varies. In some cases, it could be years. In some cases, Michael Bay might be writing it while he's shooting. Um, as is the case of what was like the Marky Mark Transformers movie. Apparently, he wrote the script while shooting that one.
Yep.
And boy, does that show. But like at the same time, right? Like, yeah, whether or not it got greenlit in the first place, that's the real question. That's the juice. And there are loads of movies that never get to see the light of day for a billion different reasons. But the risk outlay, the time outlay, all that kind of stuff is very different.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, you wind up with game execs being far more risk averse, but also like their influence can be felt over a longer period of time because games take longer. So I think it's like an illusion of time as opposed to an actual weight of pressure. That's my theory. What do you think, Luke?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's we definitely see the like Hollywood pressure of executives making big decisions. Like we hear about all the time, people leaving. I guess the big films we hear more about of like your Star Warses and your Marvel films, like the ones that come to recent mind for me are for like Marvel is Edgar Wright on Ant-Man stepping away from that. He still has a writing credit on that. Like after he left, then Paul Rudd jumped in and wrote the rest of that film. You've got like Patty Jenkins on Thor, who stepped away from Thor. Like there's Sam Raimi like leaving Spider-Man because I think that's probably the big one. Like that fourth Spider-Man film was in the works, and the third one was just so bad because they kept wanting to put more villains in it, and he didn't want to.
Yeah.
And then look how that turned out. And then the fourth one was like they wanted to add out as soon as possible, and he's like, "No, you need time." So he completely just stepped away. Like, who was Star Wars? Someone did Star Wars. Someone's the Jurassic Park guy stepped away from Star Wars.
Oh, yeah. Probably
not Rogue One, the Solo film. Someone jumped in for that one as well. Richie from Happy Days jumped in and finished. Like
Ron Howard, yeah.
Ron Howard. There's like plenty of cases of creative differences where they just leave, and like that doesn't happen in the games industry because we just don't have the names. Like the big names aren't around anymore. You Cliffy B's, and they're no longer the rock stars of like Ken Levine and like the big figureheads. Aren't there? They're not making. They don't wheel these people out, and they're like, "Hey, this is the game they're making." Ken Levine got dragged through the mud in the last like 2 weeks. His name, you just don't see that sort of thing anymore because it is such a collaborative effort of a bunch of different heads working on these things, and then occasionally there's like your Neil Druckmanns that are writing and directing, or you're you end up with a game like Death Stranding where it's just this enormous juggernaut of a name, and you're like, what the fuck is that thing? That is weird. And so, yeah, man, I don't know. Like,
I wonder how much the extremely well developed and robust union movement in film has to do with it. Right? They've got the Screen Actors Guild, the Writers Guild, the Directors Guild. They've got all these guilds, all these unions that like may help them hold on to power in situations where otherwise they would lose that power. And I wonder, if that makes a large difference in the way that shit plays out.
But I think the in terms of bigger names having more gravitas towards like these types of creative projects, I think that the film industry is bigger than that. Like when I see a name, I go, oh, I want to see that because it has this person in it, or it's been directed by, like, what was the one we were talking about before? The Tyler Sheridan film. I forgot the name of it.
Oh yeah,
that you were talking about. Something There Is Fire
Those
and
Who Wish Me Dead.
the Wrath Man. Yep, that one.
There is fire in the Wrath Man.
Yeah, I was just fucking around. But like, I have zero. Like, if you told me that the name of that, I probably have zero interest. But then you tell me who's directing it and who wrote it, and I know that name, and I know that I've liked their films in the past. Like, I liked Wind River, I liked Sicario. I'll go watch that film. And so, if that person's name is not attached to that project, then I don't want to. Like, it's not something I'm interested in. But that's not the case for video games. Very rare cases where you're like, oh, this person made this game, and it wasn't this person; it was a team of people. But there's a name attached to it, and that just doesn't really happen unless it's a smaller indie team. In which case, like, games are just so fucking hard to make. They just take so long. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard for you to have two games that are successful like that big. It's very rare.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a good question. Yeah.
That's it.
Some interesting discussion. That is the podcast.
Cool. You can find us on iTunes, Android, Windows Store, Spotify, YouTube, all the places you get podcasts from. Please rate and review the show. Helps other people find us. If you do have a moment to do that, we greatly appreciate it. You can send us questions. The gapodcast.com/Discord. You can jump in there, leave us questions in the questions channel. You can play video games with other people. You can jump in the general chat, talk about whatever you want. You can jump in the movie spoilers chat, talk about a bunch of stuff. I don't know. The thing was beeping all weekend. I don't know what you guys were going on about.
Are you gonna like spoil Saw for us?
No.
Okay, fine.
Probably not.
No?
Is it not out for you guys or something?
No, but we can't go to fucking films.
Oh, why not?
It's risky business. It's risky business.
Like 2 cases in Australia. You're fine.
Oh, mate.
Better chance of winning the lotto down there.
Mate. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's just irresponsible is what it is.
You can also find us on social media, facebook.com/GA podcast, twitter.com/GA podcast. You can go to our YouTube page, thegapodcast.com/YouTube, watch the podcast in video form. You can also go to our website, thegapodcast.com. It's got links to all those things we just talked about, including past episodes of the show or features. Joe Blubsy's features.
Yep.
Writing things up there, putting all sorts of stuff. You
got
can.
Battlefield 1 coming.
Got a Battlefield 1 coming about Levolution 2.0 and I don't know.
Bring back Levolution. No, it's definitely not Bring Back Levolution. But yeah, that should be hopefully up this week.
Nice.
It's complicated.
Okay.
Got a fuck ton of work.
Yep. That is all thanks to our Patreon members. If you would like to help support the show, you can go to patreon.com/GA podcast, become a recurring member, help support the show, help support the website, keeps things running, pays the bills, which are actually due like next week. I think I've got to pay them.
Yay!
Otherwise, our domain will disappear. So I'll get on that. And yeah, thank you. Everyone does it every month. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much. We love you.
Joab, you got anything you'd like to pimp out for this week you've been working on?
Hopefully on my YouTube channel / on the gapodcast.com, you'll be able to read about Battlefield. I might put it up as words, even if I don't have the video ready. It's mostly a problem of capturing footage.
Yeah.
But yeah, regardless, yeah, I think it's a good read. It's just about how the Battlefield series evolved over time in ways that I didn't really like. I guess, and how it can fix it. So yeah,
cool.
I wanted it to be alongside the Battlefield 6 announcement, but
fake news.
Not happening. I got boomed.
Yeah, I mean, if
taken that bet.
4chan gets their way, it might come out next week. All right. You can find me on twitter.com/Luke Lawrie, or you can go to Stevivor.com, check out my Resident Evil Village review, which went out last week. I think we briefly, it was out by then, right? We talked about it last week. How I didn't get any death threats, which was, something different for a change. But hey, I was right. I was so right about my, like, that game came out and I was watching I was watching streamers play, and like, cause it came out at like midnight, or 10 I think it was 10 p.m. because of New York time. I think it came out. And I was watching people play and getting stuck at that bit that I talked about in my review, that I couldn't find anyone else talking about it. And I watched the reset era thread, like people being like, I'm stuck at the first fight, like I don't know what to do. And just this giant discussion of people being like, oh, I think you have to do this thing and then wait like 2 minutes and then shoot this other thing. And then eventually, and it just went on for pages and pages. And Steam was the same thing. It was a page dedicated to people trying to figure out what to do in that first fight. I'm like, no one talked about it, but that's bad design right there. And
that is bad design.
I was right. So
fuck yeah, because the Gap is always right.
Yeah. All right. That is it for this week. Next week, I'm not sure what's going on. I got Mass Effect. That's out in 2 days, so I might check that out. Play some more Returnal. There's other things going on, but
maybe you can finish Returnal if you find yourself to be capable of it. Maybe you're not good enough. Have you considered that you're not good at shooters? I've
been playing other games that we can't talk about yet.
Yeah, I know. Holy fuck.
So that's the problem.
Oh my god. I want to talk about that other game so much. Oh my god. I have some stuff to say.
But you can't. You're not allowed to.
I know.
People have to wait.
When I can. Yeah. Oh my lord.
Holy
shit.
Well, I guess people have to wait. Until then, we'll see you all next week. Thanks, listening.